Hello, illuminated souls. I'm Bree Andreoni.
And I'm Tina Demore.
Welcome to Shamans After Dark. In our last series, we discussed the topic of what is a body temple? What does it mean to be embodied? Today, we're going to talk about what it means to shine our light. We hear a lot about shining our light. In fact, we say it when we sign off on this podcast. So Tina, why don't you share this? What does it actually mean when we say shine our light?
What is our light? And a lot of people think that it's just like being, louder or something, or just, being upbeat. It's not about that. The spirit of the light within us is always within us. It's a life force within us that is housed by our body temple. And our energy body is vibrating at a certain frequency, and that frequency is light. So being light is much simpler than our egoic minds make it out to be. It's the frequency within our hearts that opens our capacity to shine. That's my 2 cents.
You know, when we're able to shine and really just tap into our authentic self, and tap into that energetic frequency, that vibration, we're able to access our own light and just really let it shine and just radiate through every little piece of our being so that we just glow. And it connects us to all creation. I mean, when we're in that state, when we're connecting to that little bit of divinity that resides in each and every single one of us, and we can tap into it and connect with it and feel it and radiate it, we are tapping into and connecting to everything. That whole web of life, all creation, it's right there, right? You're just this little star vibrating within the cosmos and in the web of life. It's just, I love it. It's a great practice. I really enjoy it.
Me too. And it's almost like, once we start to radiate and really, it's an innate thing. You don't have to try to do it. I think people think they have to try to shine, and you can shine when you're not even feeling that shiny. It just doesn't, you don't really feel it. But everything actually responds to your shining. Everything that's sentient, the trees, the clouds, the rain, everything starts to respond to your true light. So yeah, love that. It connects us to all creation.
I was thinking that, when we shine and we don't know it, like when we're doing something we love or we're really passionate about, like maybe we're lost in some movement or dance and we're just feeling that light kind of bursting out of us, or we're really excited or we're really joyful. I think those are those easy moments that we've kind of tapped into shining without even consciously realizing that we're shining.
Yes.
You know, when someone says, oh, there's a glow about you, when you're feeling that glow, because that light, you're radiating in a way that light's just kind of coming out, it actually becomes a practice. It takes time to develop a conscious practice, right? Of saying, I'm going to sit down and just try and shine for a few minutes. Like that's when it becomes the effort of like, I'm going to make this a thing.
I once told somebody we both know, one of our colleagues, that she's just radiant. And that really just speaks to someone that's shining. Yeah.
You asked me, what does it mean to shine?
What does it mean to shine?
So when we shine, we're kind of standing in a place that allows us, our divine light, our inner spark, to kind of simply be. It isn't doing anything other than just being this light, shining, vibrating at this high frequency. And as a result, when we're in that state of shining and allowing, we're holding others and seeing others in that, their light of radiance and sovereignty and wellness. We're all kind of in this place of wholeness when we're in our light. And it could be such a place of, peace as well, when you get to in that state of being able to be like, I'm shining my light, I'm shining. And as a result of being in that state of shining, we can positively impact the collective. Because if you think about it, when you go out, you're interacting, you're in the grocery store, heavy energy, maybe you've got a grumpy person, but if you're in your state of light, you're moving from a place of your authentic self. It's easier to be patient. It's easier to see the light in everyone, even when they're having a hard time to shine their light, and it's, and your light going out, maybe that sparks someone else, wakens their light a little bit and helps them bring it out, so that it's just, and it could be a ripple effect, like a ripple, like a stone in a pond, right? It just ripples out and has this beautiful, I don't have the words for it. It's escaping me at the moment, but yes.
It's like a domino effect, or like the butterfly effect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and, and our light isn't measurable against anything else. It just is. It simply exists. We don't compare snowflakes to each other because they're each unique and different and a different pattern and shape and just their own beautiful, unique self. And so, why would we compare ourselves or our light to other people's lights and how they shine?
That's right. And if someone isn't feeling, shiny, like I said before, it doesn't mean that they don't have a light. Or even if somebody is behaving in a way that isn't shiny, um, they still are part of the divine. And we could go on to another trail there, but I'm going to leave it at that. And the truth of who we are is really not dependent on external energies. They don't define you. I mean, it really is hard to think of and comprehend when you're in a really challenging place. But nothing that happens to you truly defines you unless you allow it. So, when we shine, it's not about the ego or thinking mind. It's about allowing our inner light to just shine right through. So yeah, it's really more about being, and we are not human doings. We are human beings. We forget this, and our culture is so fast paced. We're like on this, treadmill, and we think that our worth, and it's really about our culture. Um, we think that our worth is about doing, and we forget to sit with things and be. And I think that causes a lot of wellness issues, in my opinion.
I would agree. I agree. And also, I think sometimes, we'll talk about this in future episodes, that, life can be
Mhm.
challenging and hard. And sometimes it feels like, okay, it's really hard for me to be like in some shiny state. Like life is all wonderful and rainbows. And I don't think that that's necessarily what we mean when we say shine. When you take the time to build a practice to kind of shine your light, it can help you more easily navigate some of those challenges.
Exactly.
So, shining your light, it's such a innate part of who we are, part of our energetic being, our makeup. It's our part of our energy bodies, interwoven into every little fiber of our being. And when we can learn to kind of tap into it and let it shine, I think really miraculous things can happen,
Yes.
and allow it to go out there. And how does that move us through things that feel hard, or when we feel like that maybe we feel like we aren't shining?
Mm,
I'm sure some people sometimes, have that moments where like, I do not feel shiny in any
right.
way.
And
Right now, I'm like,
I think that, this our as I said before, our fast-paced society makes it challenging to come home to ourselves. So then when you build a practice, and we're going to talk about that in future episodes, about healing with light or transfiguration, it's easier to connect with that home part of yourself, that truth of yourself, when you're encountering a lot of turbulence around you, or there's inner turbulence, because I find that's somehow even harder to navigate when a lot of things can happen in this world. And so even the external turbulence can affect our inner turbulence, as above so below. And so how we're going to be talking about
absolutely.
how can you navigate through that and still come home to yourself and that light that you are. I think that's really very important, especially at this during this time.
Yeah. And I think it could be really, really help shift the collective if more people had a practice or took the time to just tap in 5 minutes every day to just tap into yourself, into your light. Maybe it'll help ground you.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll just make it easier to move through something.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's really interesting. And then to also just be in a state of inner light and experience the world around you, and seeing yourself connected
Right.
to that their light, the trees, the birds, everyone else. Just
Hmm. Yes, it's a sense of home that we can talk and talk and talk about it, but it's really something to be experienced. And I think for listeners that know what we're talking about, that have experienced it, you're going to sit there and nod your head. And there's just different ways to put language into this, but yeah, I love what you said about being grounded about this, because it isn't about being elevated over the earth. It is really being grounded in who you really are, and really tapping into our last series about embodiment. How do we shine in our body? This is, in shamanic terms, this is very middle world work. It's here in this world, not in the other shamanic worlds. And so, but the duality of our existence, being human and also being a spirit, it can be very difficult and challenging. I'm going to say difficult because there's a lot going on right now, and a lot of people are constricting and feeling overwhelmed and closing themselves off where it feels safer.
Absolutely.
And that's
Yeah,
understandable.
I mean, there's a lot going on. It feels really heavy. I think it's been feeling really heavy for quite some time. Everything that's been going on for a couple
Yes.
of years, pandemic, just a lot of
Uh-huh.
collective conflict, it feels like, and, everything that we have going on in the world.
Mm,
And we're going to dive into some more of that in the next coming episodes about external turbulence and
right.
collective turbulence and how does that impact our light. And because it does, it really does
Yeah,
cause us, I think it sometimes when it feels overwhelming and we feel helpless, we kind of dim our light because we start feeling
yes,
disempowered. And it's really hard to feel like
right.
you can tap into your own light and your own empowerment.
Mhm. And another thing you just said, it's sometimes we dim our light because we're drawing attention to ourselves if we're shining and other people might not like it. And so we dim our light because it feels safer. We won't be a target for other people. But that's not serving you. You have to still focus on shining and being who you are no matter what. And that can be, a hard road to navigate.
Absolutely. Especially because you can feel vulnerable when you put yourself out there
Oh,
in
yeah.
ways and being like, hey, see me. I know I've had moments in my life where I was like, you don't want to be seen, right? Like you
Hmm.
don't necessarily want to be seen. You don't want to shine because you don't
Right?
want the attention. It puts you in a vulnerable place and you're like, don't see me, don't see me.
Well, Bree,
Um,
you and I are we're both introverts. I'm an extrovert
yes.
introvert. So even doing this podcast was like, oh, you know,
Yeah, I do know. We had
right?
that conversation, right? Of like, yeah, we're going to put ourselves out there. And I still have moments after we record where I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my God. Oh,
But that's so natural. And I think, even the introverts that aren't comfortable with being out there, and I'm going to say, I feel we have a lot to share because we're always processing internally. And I think that's important to share.
absolutely. And, our light is such a gift to us when we can acknowledge it and realize we have worth, we're worthy of love, we're worthy of shining, we're worthy of being, and that our unique gifts are just that, unique
Hmm.
gifts. The things that make us different, the things that make us stand out and sometimes feel uncomfortable or like we don't belong somewhere are our gifts. And sometimes in society we get told they're not gifts because
Right.
we aren't conforming to the norm
Hmm.
or we aren't fitting into the box very neatly. Um, but if we didn't have individuals, we didn't have our uniqueness, how boring and
Right.
uninteresting would the world be? Everybody's got a gift. Everybody has something to bring. Everybody's got something to give, to the collective, to the
Hmm.
community, a part to play. Um, and I think sometimes we don't get told enough that our gifts are important, that we're special just for being who we are. That,
Right.
you don't need to be special in some other way.
No.
You don't need to have a title or some reason. You're all special. You're all amazing.
Yes.
Everybody has this beautiful,
Unique like snowflakes, just like you said before, unique.
yeah,
And there's no
yeah.
better than or less than. The stars don't compare themselves. So why don't
No,
we
they just shine, right? Their light just
why do
radiates.
we?
Radiate is just there.
Yeah. So, yeah, what does spirit have to say about shining our light, Bree?
So when I journeyed on this, my helping spirits are actually pretty short and sweet and to the point on this one for me. It's when we take the time to shine our light, it allows us to come into a state of grounded connection with ourselves and
Oh,
all
that's
that
lovely.
is. So just think about that in the way that how would that impact your daily life to move from a place of grounded connection to yourself and to everything else, the whole web of
Right.
life, and just having this and really being able to feel it and notice it. And it doesn't mean that if you build a practice of like shining your light, that it's magically going to make everything
No.
amazing, right? It's just going to help you move forward or might help you reset or let go
Yep.
of some stress or be like, okay, I'm radiating because it's healing. It's a healing practice when we shine our light.
It is a practice. I like that. It is a practice. It's not something you perfect. And so my helping spirit said The spiritual occurrence of shining our light gives permission for others to also shine. When this happens, there is a ripple effect, a network or web of light that adjusts the frequency of the cosmos. So humans are spiritually no different from the stars. And I just said that they may forget that this is due to the denser reality they inhabit, but it changes nothing. Remember that you are a light shining in the body that is your vehicle. This creates balance, wellness, and open hearted connection with others.
I love that.
Spirit's so
Love that.
wise.
And I really, really like, right? Aren't they? They just, it always blows my mind. And I really like where they said the spiritual occurrence of shining our light gives us permission, or our light gives permission for others to
Mm,
also shine. Yes, that really strikes a chord. So when you're shining, others also feel like, oh, it's okay for me to shine.
right.
I
And
can
I think
shine
it's
here.
subconscious too, because it's not just humans, because when you start shining your light, your plants also start shining it. Your pets start shining. The Everything remembers it's divine and it's in this form that's a little bit more dense, but it remembers.
I love it. Something to sit
Yeah.
with, think with. How does that resonate for you guys? And we'd love to
Yes.
know if you like, you want to drop us a line. We would appreciate it. You can contact us through our website, shamansafterdark.com. We also have a journey prompt to go with this episode. So if any of you know how to do a shamanic journey, you can and want to kind of dive into this topic, go right ahead. So the journey prompt for this is journey to your helping spirits and ask, please show me what it means to shine my
Mm.
light.
So we hope that you'll join us next week as we continue to explore the topic of shining our light during personally challenging times. Until next time, keep on shining your light.